So Apple has just announced iOS 26. Apart from being a giant cover-up for their failed Apple Intelligence, they announced a redesign of iOS, or more so a rebrand. But not all of the new features are original. Here is what they copied from One UI. Welcome back to SamMobile TV. You're here with Daniel. To be honest, Apple and Samsung have been copying each other for years, borrowing and stealing OS features to put into their latest operating systems. And if they're not copying from each other, they're borrowing from other OEMs, mostly from the Android side. But last year, Apple put a big statement in with Apple Intelligence, but then failed to deliver. So this year, rather than addressing Apple Intelligence and talking about the timeline of when it's actually going to arrive, they covered it up with liquid glass. And quite frankly, it looks very uninspired. But alongside that, there were some new features added, and we've seen a lot of them before. First one is live translation. Existing on the Galaxy series for about a year and a half now, Live Translate is part of the call and sort of call assist functions. So when you go in here and turn Live Translate on, basically you can live translate during phone calls. So if you make a phone call and you want to translate it from another language, this is the place where you can do it. It will effectively pick your language and then the person you're translating from, and then show you in the phone call what's happening. Apple now have this and touted it at WWDC like it was some new innovation. And the live translate that they announced also extends into texting. When you go into Galaxy AI and into Writing Assist, there is a literal option for translation. It's part of the Writing Assist menu where you can translate messages in select chat apps. WhatsApp, Google Messages is all sort of supported. And it's just so crazy that Apple are adding this and pretending like it's new. Alongside sort of the translation, and I guess back to the phone call situation, is there's like a new call assist sort of service, which again, Samsung have had with Bixby Text Call for a while. And the whole point of this is you can come up with quick responses where you can add in sort of and screen the call. So rather than answering it and knowing who it is, you can sort of see who it is first and then decide to pick up the call afterwards. Apple have added that in also. Another thing that's sort of been lifted, I guess, and this isn't necessarily a One UI thing, although it has been a One UI for a while, backgrounds in chats and messages. Apple announced that you can customize the background of an iMessage. Yep, here it is, demonstrating it in Samsung Messages, customize chat room, and pick a background to add into it. Done. That's now the background of the message. And you can go in, and now that's there. It's crazy to me that that took so long for Apple to add that in, and the fact that they are announcing that as a feature as opposed to it just existing. Crazy to me. There was another one that I saw to do with the internet. Now, it sort of ties into their liquid glass design, where you scroll up in their internet browser and the browser tab, or the whatever this thing is here, kind of melts into the background, but is still there. Well, the way they sort of explained it was that it's no longer going to be distracting or in the way, and the web page will take up the whole screen. Well, okay. Isn't this the same thing, just without the distraction of that? Like, anyway, yeah, that's what they announced. There was another one that I found that I think a lot of people have kind of missed, and that's the Game Hub. Apple announced like a specific game app that kind of houses all the games in one location. And it reminded me of something, the Gaming Hub, originally called Game Launcher. But effectively, this is what Apple announced. The opportunity to sort of collate and collect all of the gaming related stuff on the phone in one place. Exactly like what Gaming Hub is, where you can collate and put together all of the games in one spot. Everyone was kind of expecting Samsung to be watching iOS 26 and trying to copy. But there's nothing here to copy that Samsung users don't already have access to. The only thing that is really there that could be sort of lifted is the liquid glass, which I think looks terrible if you ask me. The other thing that technically isn't One UI, but I guess is part of the Android world, is Circle to Search, which is a great tool because Circle to Search, you can do as the title suggests, hold down that button, circle something, and it will search for it. Osmo Pocket 3. It's exactly what that is. Apple have pretty much added that in, where you can actually do what they're calling visual intelligence to search what's on your screen. It's the same thing, just not done as sort of fluidly or effectively as what this is. It sort of raises a bit of another point to me, is what is iOS about now? Because Apple last year really pushed for intelligence. But even so, when they pushed for that intelligence, they couldn't even extend it out to their lineup. It really only impacts the Pro models of the 15 series and then every model sort of going forward. Samsung, at least with Galaxy AI, have been good enough to extend it all the way back to the Galaxy S22 and the entire S22 range, even the Fan Edition. There was no S22 FE. S23 FE is getting some Galaxy AI function. Apple Intelligence is kind of just there, but it's in the background and it doesn't really do a lot yet. And the functions they've added in now have kind of already been around in other AI circles for a little bit already. So yes, they've redesigned iOS, they've rebranded it to iOS 26, and they've kind of brought the naming convention all in line. But what have they really done? As far as I'm concerned, they've put a lick of paint over iOS, and they've kind of called it a day. iPadOS, everyone's raving about how good that rebrand is, but in the same vein, isn't that just taking Samsung DeX or desktop features and making it available on iPad? Something that people have been asking for them for years. Like, I'm talking probably 10 plus years. People have been saying, make it more like a laptop. And whilst they now are sort of doing that, again, it's like people are ignoring the fact that, well, you've had access to that in another brand. Obviously, goes without saying that if you are in the Apple ecosystem and you love all of the devices, then this will be a great change for you. But what I'm saying is the people that have been waiting for it specifically and don't really mind what brand they use, you've had access to it all along. So look, iOS 26 is here. Samsung, of course, will probably look at it, see how people respond to it, and I'm sure they will bring their own One UI style features in the vein of iOS that kind of takes Samsung's One UI forward, in the same way that Apple are doing it on the other side. It's just how the industry seems to be working at the moment. If there are any other features that you think iOS 26 has kind of lifted from One UI or some of the other Android manufacturers, let us know in the comments below. Hit subscribe whilst you are down in that section. Come and follow us on our website and all our socials, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.